Hey everybody, welcome back to Speak Shalonda. Hope you enjoyed part 2, the first half. You're getting ready to embark upon the second half where we were discussing purpose and identity in our relationships. Again, we're talking about doing the work. So I hope that you took notes from the previous recording and that you're ready to take some continuous notes. I do hope and pray that God walks with you and talks with you throughout this process and brings forth revelation knowledge so that you can find clarity and peace. I thank God for doing just that. You are going to be in a position to make decisions in your relationships with full confidence, whether it's time to walk away, or whether it's time to lock arms and make it work together. I thank God in advance for working miracles out in your relationships. So stay tuned for the second half. God bless. Video is getting long and I have not even got to number 3 yet, so this might be a 2-part video, but we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna do it. So number 2, like we said, how would you describe your relationship? Think about it, be honest. And then number 3, what are the characteristics of your partnership? Now this may sound like number 2, but it's just a tad bit different because I want you to think about characteristics as in identity. So when you think about how you would describe your relationship with God, what are the characteristics that you have grown to recognize about you, about God, and about your relationship with God? Now do that very same thing with your relationship with this individual or with these individuals. What are the characteristics of your partnership? Not of the relationship, but of your partnership. So I'll use for an example my best friend. Our partnership is, again, it is one of those things where I cannot imagine doing anything what I consider to be extravagant without Jennifer being a part of it. I did not mean to say her name, but it's out there. But what are the characteristics of your partnership? It's very little that I can think of that I've done where she was would either be a part of it, or she's aware and she's coaching me or encouraging me through it, and vice versa. Whatever it is, whatever the venture is. In the beginning stages of our friendship, there was quite a few initiatives that we were a part of and that we started. We created, we're both entrepreneurial minded, and we started ministries, organizations, businesses, and still doing that to this date. But we partnered together quite a bit with even my nonprofit, with her ventures that she went after. I was either signing up with her or I was partnering with her, encouraging her on the back end and giving her whatever level of wisdom that I could be insightful and bring forth clarity. So when I think about partnership, I think about she and I and the friendship that we have. And how I would describe that is unified. We are unified in so many ways. There are times when I go through something and it's either going to be something similar to what she has just gone through, or maybe she's about to embark upon it, and vice versa. When she's going through something, it's probably something that is similar to what I just went through or what I'm preparing to go through. So there is this this moving, train, or there's just this merging of kindred souls that what God allows me to experience, Jennifer is right behind or right before. And so that type of partnership gives me so much peace. It gives me so much hope. It encourages me. It lets me know, even being a single person, even starting a business, being a solo entrepreneur, I'm not alone. Even if we've not talked in a couple of days, I know I came across her mind, or I know I've been mentioned in her prayers, or God has spoken something to her about me or concerning me. I know that without a shadow of a doubt, and I truly believe that she feels the same way. But that's what I mean by partnership. Think about the depths of your connection. What characterizes your partnership? Because again, if you can't go deep about this relationship, if you can't go deep to the depths of who you are about the relationship that you are concerned about right now, then there should be some indications right there that either you need to commit, the both of you need to commit to build, rebuild, refresh, renew, redirect, reestablish. So not even concerned about the problem, because the problem is just going to be there. And if the way in which your relationship is, if it's unstable, then you can say that you've addressed that problem, but it more than likely will reinvent itself in a totally different way. And you might know what I'm talking about. That might be like, ring, ding, 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 ding. Why do I keep feeling like this is like a vicious cycle? Why? I literally thought I just addressed this, or we addressed this. Why is it coming back in this form? It's just like leaving a job because you don't like somebody. Then your next job, you're going to be in a position where you don't like somebody, or where someone don't like you. So you can't run away from that, right? Vicious cycle. So we want to avoid the vicious cycle. So again, number 3, sit down and think about characterizing your partnership. Because if you feel as though it's quite empty, then that's where the work needs to begin. That's where I help people. I help people to identify where they are in the depths of their relationship, or lack thereof, focusing in on what's most valuable to the both of you. And oftentimes, and I'll speak to the fact that probably a lot of women do a lot more of the soul searching and a lot more of the work that is required, that both parties sign up for or commit to. And I can vouch and I can speak to being one of those people and those women who fights, because I believe that I have so much strength, that I have so much faith, that I have so much determination and passion and desire for this relationship to work and thrive and be successful and be a long-lasting, lifelong relationship, that I believe that my work will be just enough. To the point where I lost myself. I lost my identity, got out of that relationship, and really had no clue who I was. Just flailing about through life, making it seem like I was actually accomplishing things, but I really wasn't, because I wasn't even sure about who I was. At that moment, I didn't even know what my true purpose was. So again, being honest with yourself. And I would advise that you do this exercise without the help of anybody else. Do it by yourself. Set aside time alone and do this. Record yourself. Write down what you're thinking. Write down what you're saying, so that it can be something that you can revisit again. And this is clearly something that you can utilize in so many different ways with other relationships. Because I think that's what's wrong with a lot of relationships, is that you just don't want to acknowledge the truth. It is what it is. You know, the truth hurts so much when you realize that sometimes it's time to exit stage left. And I'm a proponent for not telling anybody what they should do with their relationship. I think that a lot of times people have to go through whatever process they need to go through in order to come to their truth. And that's in my place, that is how a life coach can help, is foster that thought process so you can be held accountable, and that you can get that rejuvenating push and shove sometimes lovingly into that direction that you're trying to go, really challenging you to do things that you really don't feel comfortable doing, kind of helping you to step outside of the box that you've been held up in and closed off in for so long, just so that you can get your truth. And I hope that this helps you to finally get to the point where, because the whole purpose, pun intended, the whole purpose of these questions is for you to now recognize, now that I know the identity of my relationship, I can understand why I'm going through this problem, why I keep seeing this same ugly rearing head devil in my relationship. This is why. Because it is purposed to do the will of God, because it is purposed by the love of God, because it is purposed to love and share with other couples, or this is a business partnership that God brought together. And this is why this issue keeps coming up, because the enemy is dead set against us continuing to do what we do, because it is for the community, because it is to help single mothers, because it's a nonprofit organization that is geared to help the community, help homeless population. You begin to recognize why those problems keep popping up. Why am I still facing this issue? Because there's purpose in this thing, and it's stable because it's founded on something that nobody will ever have access to destroy it. Not if I have something to do with it. But it starts with your being honest. You're being honest, acknowledging even the weakest parts of your relationship, even the weakest parts that you've contributed to, that made it hard or harder. Yeah, we're talking about working on yourself. In the moment that you acknowledge those things and come to an understanding of the purpose of your relationship. God, why did you have us connect? Why do you have us connected? Why are we partners in this life, in our marriage, in this relationship, in this business, at this job, in this friendship? Why do you have us partnered together? I get it, God. There's something wonderful here. There's something beautiful here. There is purpose here in this relationship. Therefore, I don't have to run away. Because, and this is where we're going to talk about in our, officially, our third part, posture. Because there should be a way in which we can set ourselves up to walk progressively even through the difficult times. And that's what posture looks like. And I'll give you this little bit of, not necessarily a teaser, but we're going to talk about and remind ourselves, for those of us who remember, I know in school we had a a professional come in to help us with our posture, so that we wouldn't be slouched down at our desks for 7 hours at the school. So they had ways to teach us to be intentional and mindful about how we posture our backs and our bodies and our heads and our necks, so we wouldn't be hunchbacks by the age of 30 or 50. And I remember those sessions and those moments, and we can now apply that same attitude. We can now apply that same perspective on our relationships, because there is a certain way that we have to stand in the midst of the trouble in our relationships in order to be successful. So that's what we're going to talk about in our next part. I hope and pray that this practical exercise and challenge for most, for some or most, that you do the work. Do the work and come back and tell me what you came up with. How insightful was your responses to these questions, and how did it bring clarity to the identity of your relationship, and ultimately what your relationship is purposed to do in this earth. Give me some comments, give me some questions, or leave questions rather, in the comments, or any comments about your thoughts about what we just talked about, and just let me know anything that you'd like to share. I'm all for it, all ears. So thank you again so much for joining. I really do appreciate you so much, and we're just going to pray on out. Oh God, we thank you. Thank you for visiting us on this day. Thank you for speaking to us. Thank you for illuminating your word. Thank you for bringing forth your wisdom. Thank you for helping us to be challenged, to be honest with ourselves, so that we can acknowledge where we are in our relationships, so that we can ultimately address things without necessarily addressing them the way that we're accustomed to addressing them. We're not going back to fight and argue. We're going to go back with knowledge. We're going to go back with confidence and with truth, not just with feelings. I'm not going to be fueled by my feelings and just go in and say I'm angry, or I'm frustrated, and I'm mad, but I'm going to go in with honesty about how I feel, and then I'm going to finish off with what I know. This is what we're going to do this and going forward, that our relationships will stand the test of time, that we're not going to be hanging on to constant problems, continuing to evolve and rear its ugly head in so many different ways. And we're not going to stay in relationships that are broken, that we cannot remedy because it's not built on what is best for us. And God, we thank you for giving us that type of wisdom. We also thank you for giving us that type of courage and the will to do the work. God, thank you for the boldness that you are bestowing upon us, so that we can make decisions that are going to be best for us according to your will. We honor you, God, and we praise you for loving us. We're loving us even in the midst of some relationships that we stepped in without you, God. But at this time, at this very moment, God, we are inviting you into our relationships. Speak to our hearts, oh God. Continually, Father, enlighten us, God. We're listening. We're availing ourselves to you, Father, so that you can get the glory in our relationships, God. And we'll see the benefit. We'll see the success and the prosperity in our relationships, because we've yielded now to you and only you. Father, we love you and we honor you and we praise you and we thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. I could have went on and on and on, but I'm not. I'm still stewing, but I might split this up. But either way, God has gotten the glory, and I pray that this has blessed you and has helped you. Share this video with someone else that you think that this will benefit. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much. We'll be back again for part 3 next week for Tune Up Tuesdays. And until then, you guys have a blessed week and a great weekend.